The ballroom of the Shanghai International Trade Summit glowed beneath crystal chandeliers, where the world's wealthiest mingled over wine and whispered deals. Diplomats, CEOs, and foreign investors filled the air with the hum of power and polite tension. At a table near the back stood Adam Schiff, congressman, strategist, and a man known for listening more than speaking. He wasn't here for business, at least not officially. His invitation had come quietly, through diplomatic channels, under the banner of international cooperation. He scanned the room, eyes sharp but calm, taking in every detail. Who smiled too wide? Who looked too nervous? Who watched instead of talking? Across the room, a loud burst of laughter cut through the murmur. A tall, broad-shouldered American tech millionaire, one of Silicon Valley's newest darlings, was holding court, boasting about his next merger. Cameras flashed as he clinked glasses with Chinese executives. Schiff watched him for a moment. Something about the scene felt off. Near the doors, two uniformed guards leaned close, speaking rapidly in Mandarin. Most guests would have missed it, but Schiff understood. He had picked up conversational Chinese during years of foreign briefings. Now the words sliced through the noise. The car's ready. Make sure he gets in the back seat. Before the escort arrives. Schiff's expression didn't change, but his pulse quickened. He listened harder as one guard replied, "Timing has to be perfect. No mistakes this time. This time." A chill crept down his spine. He turned his head slightly, pretending to check his watch while his mind raced. Was it a misunderstanding or something far darker? The millionaire was finishing his champagne, smiling as an aide whispered that his car was waiting. Schiff's eyes flicked toward the exit. The same guards were now watching the millionaire closely. Their posture was too stiff, too deliberate. He could feel it. Something wasn't right. As the crowd began to thin, Schiff took a quiet breath and stepped forward, ready to intercept because whatever those guards had planned, it wasn't just a ride to dinner. When Adam realized what they were saying, his blood ran cold. The grand ballroom doors opened, letting in a wave of humid Shanghai night air as guests began to filter out. Flashbulbs popped near the red carpet outside. Luxury sedans idled at the curb, each marked by a discreet diplomatic flag or company emblem. Adam Schiff slipped his phone into his jacket pocket, his instincts sharpening. Years in intelligence briefings had trained him to trust the smallest inconsistencies. The whispers he'd heard, "No mistakes this time," replayed in his mind like an alarm bell. He moved closer to the exit, blending in with the crowd. Two guards he'd overheard earlier were now positioned near a glossy black Mercedes Maybach, their earpieces blinking under the dim lights. The millionaire, Ethan Grant, CEO of Quantum Stream Technologies, strutted toward them, his tone as loud as his confidence. "Shanghai's future is digital," he boomed to a small circle of executives following him. "And Quantum Stream will be the first to connect east and west at the speed of light." Laughter followed. Cameras flashed. But Schiff's attention was locked elsewhere. The driver's face. Calm and motionless, eyes forward. The same cold detachment he'd seen in people trained not to react. Ethan's assistant waved to the guards. "Car's ready?" One guard nodded, giving a small, deliberate glance toward his partner. The kind of glance that says everything without words. Schiff caught it. Inside his chest, something twisted tight. He took a step forward. "Mr. Grant," he called out, his voice measured, diplomatic, perfectly neutral. Ethan turned, flashing that PR perfect smile. "Congressman Schiff, didn't expect to see you at these trade galas. You spying on us business guys now?" A few chuckles rippled through the group. Schiff smiled politely, keeping his tone easy. "Just observing," he said. "But before you leave, may I have a word? Privately." Ethan frowned, checking his diamond watch. "I'm due at a dinner with the governor." "Can it wait?" "It can," Schiff said carefully. "But it shouldn't." The shift in his tone, calm, steady, but urgent, made Ethan pause. His laughter faded. Schiff took a half step closer and lowered his voice. "I speak some Mandarin," he murmured. "I just heard your security detail say something that concerns me. You might not want to get in that car." Ethan blinked. "What?" they said. "Make sure he gets in the back seat before the escort arrives." Then, "No mistakes this time." Schiff's gaze didn't waver. That's not how professionals discuss transportation. That's how they discuss operations. Ethan glanced toward the guards. "Come on, Adam, this is China. Everyone speaks in codes here." Not like that, Schiff replied. And certainly not when they're watching you as if you're already a target. For the first time, Ethan's confident grin faltered. He shifted uncomfortably. You think someone's trying to— I think, Schiff interrupted, that car is not what it seems. The guards noticed their conversation, their expressions tightening. One lifted his wrist, pressing a button on his earpiece. Schiff's pulse spiked. He stepped slightly in front of Ethan, blocking the line of sight. Listen carefully, he whispered. Act natural. Don't look at them. We're going to walk back inside. Slowly. Ethan hesitated, still not fully believing. Adam, this is ridiculous. These people are my— Friends? Schiff cut in softly. Then why are they radioing for backup? That did it. Ethan's face drained of color. He gave a small nod and turned back toward the ballroom. Schiff placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. As they walked, the guards exchanged a brief, sharp glance, the kind that meant their window was closing. Inside, the mood had shifted. The laughter and clinking glasses from earlier felt distant now. Schiff's voice dropped even lower. You need to stay out of sight. Call your security team, the American one, not the local staff. Tell them to meet you in the service corridor. Ethan fumbled for his phone. You're serious about this? Schiff's eyes stayed on the door. I've learned to trust my gut when lives depend on it. Outside, the hum of engines grew louder. Through the glass wall, Schiff could see the Maybach inch forward, guards scanning the crowd, eyes hunting for their missing passenger. Mr. Grant, Schiff said quietly, someone doesn't want you walking out of this building alive. The weight of those words hung heavy in the air. Ethan's hand shook as he dialed his head of security. And for a moment, just one, both men realized how fragile power really was. If you overheard danger in another language, would you warn the person or stay silent and walk away? Tell me in the comments and let me know which country or city you're watching this from. It's always amazing to see where in the world people stand. Up for what's right, the muffled thud of heavy doors echoed behind them as Adam Schiff guided Ethan Grant back into the ballroom's quieter wing. The music had softened, and most of the guests had already left for the after-dinner receptions scattered across Shanghai's glittering skyline. Only a few servers lingered, clearing glasses and straightening tablecloths. Schiff's tone was low but firm. Don't panic. Just listen. Ethan exhaled sharply, trying to keep his composure. You're saying someone's trying to kill me? Here? At a diplomatic event? I'm saying, Schiff replied, that you're too valuable and too loud to walk out there blind. You've made enemies, Ethan. You've disrupted markets, embarrassed investors, and talked about data networks that certain governments don't want in private hands. That alone makes you a target. Ethan looked pale under the chandeliers. He loosened his tie, eyes darting between Schiff and the exit. You're serious, aren't you? Schiff's jaw tightened. Deadly. He motioned toward a side hallway where shadows fell across gold-trimmed walls. We'll use the service corridor. The kitchen connects to the underground parking. Safer, fewer cameras, fewer eyes. But before they could move, Schiff's phone buzzed. A restricted number. He answered quietly. Schiff. A familiar voice came through, one of his former intelligence contacts stationed at the U.S. consulate. Adam, you still at the summit? Yes. Then get out. Now. Our chatter picked up something about an uncontrolled variable, code for an unsanctioned hit. Someone might be moving tonight. Schiff's gaze flicked to Ethan. Confirmed, he muttered and ended the call. The fear in Ethan's face turned to disbelief. Are you saying they're going to make it look like an accident? Schiff nodded. A car crash. Quick, clean, deniable. The whispers fit perfectly. He moved closer to Ethan, his voice dropping to a razor edge. Listen carefully. When we leave this room, you walk behind me. Don't look at anyone, don't respond if they call your name. Just follow. They moved through the hallway, Schiff in front, scanning corners with the controlled precision of someone who'd done this before. The faint aroma of roasted duck drifted from the kitchen ahead. Footsteps echoed behind them. Too deliberate to be random. Ethan whispered, They're following us. I know. Schiff's tone never wavered. Keep walking. They entered the kitchen. Steam hissed from metal pans. A dozen chefs froze as the two men passed, sensing the tension but saying nothing. Schiff's hand brushed against a counter where a carving knife rested. He didn't take it, but he noted it. Years in politics had taught him one thing: you never show fear even when you feel it. They reached the back door leading to the service elevator. Schiff pressed the button. The seconds dragged. Ethan's breathing grew shallow. Behind them, the kitchen door creaked open. The guard stepped in, moving fast. "Mr. Grant," one of them called, pretending to smile. "Your car is waiting outside." Schiff turned slowly, his expression unreadable. "He's taking another route," he said evenly. "The dinner has been moved." The guard's grin faded. "No, sir. Instructions say." Schiff cut him off. "I heard your instructions." For a heartbeat, the room froze. The guards realized what he meant. He'd understood their Mandarin. Their eyes darkened. "Congressman," the lead guard said in accented English, "this is a private matter. Please don't interfere." Schiff stepped forward, placing himself between Ethan and the guards. His calm was unnerving, the kind of composure that comes from knowing panic is useless. "I'm making it my business," Schiff replied. "If he leaves with you, he doesn't make it 10 blocks. And you know it." The elevator dinged. Schiff grabbed Ethan's arm. "Go." Ethan hesitated, then bolted inside. Schiff followed, slamming the close button. The guards lunged forward, shouting, but the doors sealed shut just in time. Inside the elevator, silence. Only their breathing filled the space. Schiff leaned against the wall, eyes still sharp. "Now you understand why I told you not to get in that car." Ethan's voice trembled. "You just saved my life." Schiff didn't answer immediately. He straightened his jacket, his gaze distant. "Let's make sure I can keep doing that until morning." The elevator chimed again, basement level. The door opened into dim, concrete corridors. Schiff stepped out first, scanning the area. Far above them, muffled shouts echoed faintly from the ballroom. The guards had realized their quarry was gone. Schiff turned to Ethan. "We have 5 minutes before they figure out where we went. Stay close." And as they disappeared into the shadows of the underground parking garage, one thought pulsed in Schiff's mind. Whoever ordered this hit wasn't done yet. What would you do if someone whispered a warning that could save your life but you didn't know whether to trust them? Would you take the risk or call their bluff? Tell me in the comments right now. I want to know how you would react in that moment. The underground parking garage stretched like a cold concrete maze beneath the summit center. Rows of polished luxury vehicles gleamed under harsh fluorescent lights, their reflections warping in the puddles of oil-stained water on the ground. Adam Schiff stepped out of the elevator first, scanning the area with quiet precision. His senses were sharpened by adrenaline, but his face remained composed. Ethan Grant followed close behind, his expensive shoes scraping against the floor, breath uneven. "Keep your head down," Schiff muttered. "Security cameras might still be live. Are we safe here?" Ethan asked, voice trembling. Schiff's eyes flicked toward the far corner. A shadow moved. He lowered his tone. "Define safe." They began walking toward a dimly lit exit sign. Schiff's mind was calculating options. The U.S. consulate was 20 minutes away. Calling the local police wasn't an option, not if the conspiracy involved insiders. He needed to get Ethan out without drawing attention, but then a metallic clang echoed behind them. Both men froze. Out of the corner of his eye, Schiff caught movement near a row of SUVs. The same 2 guards from upstairs were descending the ramp, flanked by 2 more men in dark suits. Their formation was tight, practiced. These weren't simple security staff. These were professionals. "Keep walking," Schiff said under his breath. Ethan's whisper cracked. "They're following us." "I know." Schiff's gaze darted to the far wall, a delivery corridor marked authorized personnel only. Perfect. He steered Ethan toward it, his tone casual enough to mask the urgency. "We'll cut through there." As they turned, the lead guard called out, "Mr. Grant." His English was polite, his voice anything but. "You forgot your invitation envelope, sir." Ethan nearly turned around, but Schiff's hand on his shoulder stopped him cold. "Don't," Schiff said quietly. "That's not an invitation, it's bait." They pushed through the service door. The heavy metal frame slammed shut behind them, echoing down the corridor. Inside, the lights flickered. Narrow hallways, crates stacked high, and a distant hum of generators. Schiff slowed for a second, checking the corners. "They'll try to cut us off. Keep your phone out, flashlight on." Ethan complied, the beam shaking slightly in his hand. "How do you even know this stuff?" Schiff allowed a thin, humorless smile. "You learn a lot sitting on intelligence committees." The pounding of footsteps grew closer. Schiff scanned the ceiling. A vent system ran above them. "There," he said, pointing toward a ladder bolted to the wall. "Climb." "What? Up there?" Ethan asked, incredulous. "Do you want to debate it or survive it?" Schiff snapped. Ethan climbed. Schiff followed, pulling the vent grate open with a metallic screech. They crawled inside just as the door below burst open. Flashlights sliced through the corridor. The guards had arrived. Below them, voices in Mandarin echoed, "They can't be far. Check the service routes. Seal the exits. The car's already prepared." Schiff motioned for silence. Ethan's breath came fast and shallow. The metal creaked beneath them as they crawled forward. Schiff whispered, "Stay on the left side. It's reinforced." Minutes stretched like hours. Sweat beaded on their foreheads despite the chill. Finally, they reached another grate opening to a maintenance platform overlooking the loading bay. Through it, Schiff saw the glint of headlights. The same Maybach, now repositioned near a side ramp. He watched in grim silence as one of the guards spoke into his earpiece, saying, "Target moving toward Bay 3. Prepare for confirmation." They were waiting for him to appear and to walk into their trap. Ethan's whisper cracked the silence. "If you hadn't understood them back there, I'd be in that car already." Schiff didn't look away from the scene below. "Understanding is one thing," he murmured. "Believing what you hear is another." He pulled out his phone, opened a secure line, and typed a short code. Within seconds, a reply pinged back, a GPS lock confirmation. He had just sent their coordinates to a private security contact embedded with the consulate. "They'll be here in 10 minutes, Schiff whispered. "We just have to stay alive until then." Ethan nodded shakily, clutching the vent frame like a lifeline. Below, the guards spread out, scanning corners with flashlights. Schiff realized they were sweeping the area systematically. It was only a matter of time before one of them looked up. Then, a crash. A metal crate toppled over at the far end of the bay. The guards turned instantly, weapons raised. Schiff seized the moment. He dropped quietly from the vent onto the platform below, motioning for Ethan to stay hidden. He crouched behind a stack of containers, eyes sharp, body still. The guards moved toward the noise. Schiff crept sideways, his polished shoes silent on the concrete. When he reached the emergency exit door, he pressed his hand to the push bar. Locked. He swore under his breath. He looked down the hall. A small keypad glowed beside the frame, 4 digits. He thought fast. The guards' uniforms had an insignia. Sector 0402. He tried it. Beep. Click. The door unlocked. He turned to whisper, "Ethan, now." A minute later, the two men were outside, swallowed by the night air and the echo of distant sirens. Schiff took a steadying breath. He knew the sound of sirens didn't always mean safety in foreign soil, but it was better than silence. He looked at Ethan and said quietly, "That was close." "Too close." Ethan's voice trembled. "Who are these people, Adam?" Schiff glanced back toward the loading bay, where headlights flickered again, searching for them. "I don't know yet," he said. "But they know you, and that's what scares me most. If you were in Adam Schiff's place, would you risk your life to warn a stranger? Drop A in the comments if you'd stand up, even when it's dangerous." The night outside hit them like a wall, damp, heavy, and humming with city noise. The Shanghai skyline stretched above, neon lights reflecting off puddles in the alley. Adam Schiff took a steadying breath, his suit slightly torn from the vent crawl. He turned to Ethan. "Stay close. Don't speak." Ethan nodded, visibly shaken, eyes darting from shadow to shadow. They hurried down the narrow alley between loading docks, the hum of engines echoing behind them. Schiff could hear footsteps, distant but closing. "They're following us," Ethan whispered. "I know," Schiff said calmly, already thinking 3 steps ahead. "We need to reach the main road, blend in with the crowd. Once we're in public light, they can't move on you without exposure." The alley opened into a busy cross street, glowing with headlights and the chatter of evening traffic. Schiff slowed his pace, forcing his breathing steady. They stepped into the flow of pedestrians, 2 figures among hundreds. Behind them, a dark sedan turned onto the street. Schiff's instincts screamed trouble. He guided Ethan toward the covered walkway outside a high-end shopping complex. "Keep walking," Schiff murmured. "If they follow us here, we'll have proof." "Proof?" Ethan's voice cracked. "Adam, they tried to kill me." "I don't need proof, I need a plane ticket." Schiff shot him a look that silenced the panic. "You'll get one. But first we survive the next 10 minutes." Inside the plaza, the light was blinding. Glass escalators shimmered with reflections. Schiff's phone buzzed, a coded message from his contact. Extraction en route. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That might as well have been forever. He scanned the storefronts. A small cafe near the rear entrance caught his eye. In there, he said. They slipped inside, taking a corner table. Schiff positioned himself so he could see both exits. Ethan tried to steady his breathing, but his hands shook uncontrollably. Adam, how did you even catch what they said? You're not fluent, right? I don't have to be, Schiff replied quietly. I only needed to understand 3 words. The car, backseat, and no mistakes. Ethan looked down, guilt flickering in his expression. I didn't believe you at first. You're not the first, Schiff said, glancing toward the street. And you won't be the last. Outside, the same dark sedan crawled past the cafe, headlights cutting through the rain. Schiff's jaw tightened. They're sweeping for you. What do we do? Ethan asked, gripping the table edge. Nothing, Schiff said. We wait and act like we belong. He motioned to a waiter, ordered 2 coffees in fluent Mandarin. The young server smiled politely and left, unaware of the tension simmering across the table. Schiff's calm presence was disarming even to Ethan, who had spent his career surrounded by chaos. You don't scare easily, Ethan said. Schiff's lips curved faintly. Fear's useful. You just can't let it drive. Through the glass, the sedan stopped at the curb. 2 men stepped out, the same guards scanning the cafe interior. Schiff's muscles tensed, but his eyes stayed still. Don't move, he whispered. The guard's eyes swept over the crowd and then paused. One of them spoke into his sleeve. Now, Schiff murmured. He stood casually, walked to the counter as if paying the bill. As he turned, he caught sight of the reflection, one of the guards entering through the side door. In a split-second decision, Schiff dropped a handful of cash, grabbed Ethan's arm, and moved toward the kitchen exit. The waiter called after them, but Schiff didn't stop. They burst through the back door into a service corridor just as the guard shouted behind them. Schiff shoved a metal cart across the path and sprinted toward the rear exit. Outside, headlights blinded them. Not the black sedan this time, but a gray SUV screeching to a halt. The door opened and a man in a dark jacket leaned out. Congressman Schiff, he called. U.S. Consulate, get in. Schiff didn't hesitate. He pushed Ethan inside and followed. The SUV tore through the rain-slicked streets, tires screeching as the sedan followed close behind. Bullets cracked against the rear glass. Ethan screamed. Schiff pulled him down. Stay low. The driver swerved sharply, taking a narrow turn through an industrial district. Behind them, the pursuing car clipped a railing and spun out, crashing into a delivery truck. Sparks lit up the night. The SUV sped onward, finally slowing near the riverfront. The driver turned. You're clear. We've scrambled their signal. Ethan slumped back in his seat, drenched in sweat and disbelief. They were actually going to kill me? Schiff stared out the window at the city lights flickering on the Huangpu River. No, he said quietly. They still are. You just made them fail once. For a moment, the car was silent except for the hum of the engine. Ethan turned toward him, voice trembling. You could have walked away back there. You didn't owe me anything. Schiff looked at him, his expression unreadable. When you hear danger, you act. That's not politics, and that's being human. He leaned back, closing his eyes briefly as the SUV disappeared into the night. Can you imagine the look on that guard's face when Adam Schiff vanished into the Shanghai night? If you believe courage means staying calm when everyone else panics, hit the like button and type brave in the comments right now. The gray SUV rolled to a stop inside a gated compound just outside downtown Shanghai. Floodlights washed over the wet pavement as uniformed security approached, weapons drawn, until one recognized the plates and waved them through. Inside the vehicle, silence reigned. Ethan Grant sat motionless, staring at his trembling hands. Adam Schiff leaned forward, watching the gate close behind them. Only when the heavy bolts locked did he finally exhale. We're secure for now, said the driver, flashing an ID marked with the seal of the U.S. Consulate General Shanghai. They stepped into a stark concrete building buzzing with fluorescent lights. The moment the door closed, Schiff's phone was taken by a technician, swept for trackers, and placed inside a signal blocking box. 2 agents in plain suits guided them into a conference room. Ethan dropped into a chair, still shaking. They really tried to kill me, he muttered, voice flat with disbelief. Schiff remained standing, pacing slowly. They prepared it in advance. The timing, the route, the car swap, it wasn't improvised. Someone planned this down to the second. One of the agents entered with a tablet, nodding to Schiff. "Sir, we recovered partial surveillance from the Summit garage. The Maybach exploded 30 seconds after you cleared the gate." Ethan's head snapped up. "Exploded?" The agent nodded grimly. "Internal detonation. Professional." For a moment, the only sound was the hum of the ceiling fan. Schiff's expression didn't change, but his eyes darkened. "That's not intimidation," he said quietly. "That's execution." Ethan pressed his palms to his temples. "Who would want me dead? I make software, for God's sake." Schiff turned toward him. "Not just software. You're building encryption tech that bypasses state-level firewalls. You've made speeches about data freedom and digital democracy. You think those words go unnoticed?" Ethan stared blankly, the realization hitting hard. "You're saying this was political?" "I'm saying," Schiff replied, "that in a room full of powerful people, the one who believes in freedom is always the threat." A long silence settled between them. Then Ethan whispered, "You saved me." Schiff met his gaze evenly. "I listened. Most people don't." A knock broke the moment. The senior security attaché entered, tablet in hand. "Congressman, there's something else. Our intel partners intercepted chatter. Someone referred to you by name. They knew you understood Mandarin." Schiff's brow furrowed. "Meaning what?" "Meaning this might not have been about Mr. Grant alone." The words landed heavy. Schiff folded his arms, his mind racing. "So they planned for a backup target if the primary failed." Ethan's voice cracked. "You're saying I was bait?" Schiff didn't answer right away. Maybe not intentionally. But once I intervened, they adapted. That's what professionals do. Outside the room, thunder rumbled, Shanghai's evening storm rolling in. Schiff moved to the window, watching the rain slide down the glass. He spoke softly, more to himself than anyone. "We weren't supposed to walk out of that building." The attaché nodded. "We'll get both of you on a diplomatic flight at dawn. Until then, this facility's on full lockdown." Ethan swallowed hard. "I can't believe this. One night I'm talking business, next I'm a target in some international thriller." Schiff turned back to him, tone steady. "That's the world we live in. Power looks polite until it feels threatened." He sat down across from Ethan, folding his hands. "You need to go silent for a while. No press, no posts, no location tags. Let the story die before it's born." Ethan nodded weakly. "And you?" "I'll brief Washington, quietly." For a while, neither spoke. The clock ticked past midnight. Schiff's mind wandered back to the guards' whispers, their precision, the certainty in their tone. There had been no hesitation, only command. Whoever issued it had power and resources. Finally, Ethan broke the silence. "Do you think it was a hit? Or a message?" Schiff looked up. "Maybe both." He stood, straightening his jacket. "Either way, they failed tonight." The attaché entered once more. "Your extraction team will arrive in 3 hours, sir." Schiff nodded, glancing at Ethan. "Get some rest. You'll need it." As he stepped out into the corridor, the lights dimmed for the night cycle. The storm outside cracked with lightning, illuminating the skyline through narrow windows. Schiff paused at one, staring at the city lights glimmering under rain. He spoke quietly, almost like a warning to the night itself. "You can silence a voice, but not the truth that made it speak. Do you think this was an assassination attempt? Or a warning meant to scare the millionaire into silence? Type truth in the comments if you believe some secrets are too powerful to hide." Morning broke over Shanghai with a haze of silver fog rolling off the river. The storm had passed, but the tension hadn't. Inside the U.S. consulate's secure compound, Adam Schiff stood by the window of the briefing room, his jacket off, sleeves rolled, sipping coffee that had long gone cold. Below him, a small convoy idled, black SUVs waiting to escort Ethan Grant to a private jet bound for Washington. The tech millionaire hadn't spoken much since the night before. He moved like a man still half haunted by what could have been. When Ethan finally approached, suitcase in hand, his voice was quiet. "You really think this is over?" Schiff didn't look away from the window. "No, but it's paused. And sometimes that's all you need. A pause long enough to tell your side before someone writes it for you." Ethan gave a weak laugh. "You make it sound like politics. It's survival," Schiff said simply. A knock came at the door. A security officer stepped in, tablet in hand. Sir, just so you know, it's out there. Schiff turned. What is? Footage from last night. The explosion, the chase. Someone leaked it. It's all over the internet. The tagline reads, U.S. Congressman saves tech billionaire from mysterious attack in Shanghai. Ethan blinked. That's already viral? The officer nodded. 50 million views in 3 hours. Schiff exhaled slowly. So much for silence. He picked up his jacket, straightened his tie, and spoke with that calm, even tone the public knew him for. Let it spread. The story's not the problem. The truth behind it is. Outside, reporters were already gathering near the gate, cameras flashing through the rain. Ethan hesitated before stepping toward the convoy. I don't know how to thank you. Schiff met his eyes, voice low but resolute. Then don't. Just use your second chance wisely. There's a reason you're still breathing. Ethan nodded, climbed into the SUV, and was gone. For a long moment, Schiff stood alone in the echoing hallway. The faint hum of the city seeped through the windows. Horns, sirens, life resuming as if nothing had happened. But he knew better. Somewhere out there, someone was already rewriting the narrative. He slipped a phone from his pocket, a secure line, separate from official channels, and typed one line into a coded message. It wasn't an accident. They moved early. He hit send, then stared out at the skyline once more. A voice came from behind him, the same security attaché from the night before. Sir, what happens now? Schiff didn't turn around. His reflection in the glass looked tired but unbroken. Now, he said quietly, now we wait for whoever planned it to make their next mistake. Lightning flashed far off over the river, though the storm had long passed, a silent reminder that danger doesn't disappear. It just hides until it's ready. Schiff buttoned his jacket, took a breath, and walked out toward the briefing room. The cameras would soon call it heroism. The headlines would call it courage. But to him, it was simply instinct. Listening had saved a life, and in a world that spoke in whispers and lies, sometimes that was enough. If you believe one act of awareness can save a life, type aware in the comments. Because sometimes, the difference between life and death is the person who decides to listen.